The UAE cabinet, chaired by Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Vice President, Prime Minister, and ruler of Dubai, has approved the restructuring of the board of directors of the Emirates Development Bank under the chairmanship of Dr. Sultan bin Ahmed Al Jaber, Minister of Industry and Advanced Technology. The decision comes within the framework of supporting the government work system and organizing the boards of directors and federal entities and set up its system. It also aims to support the work system of the Emirates Development Bank as it specializes in facilitating the real estate credit allocated for the construction, maintenance, and development of buildings prepared for private housing, financing projects, and agricultural crafts and activities to ensure the development of a competitive knowledge economy and the sustainability of the integrated infrastructure. Rescue teams kept up their search for survivors in Beirut even as hopes raised by sensor readings of a pulse beneath the rubble of last month's blast began to fade. The cataclysmic August 4th explosion in the port of Beirut killed at least 191 people, making it Lebanon's deadliest peacetime disaster. 1 month on, 7 people are still listed as missing. High-tech sensors confirmed an apparent heartbeat, and a full month after the August 4th blast, rescue teams took up the search. Iran opened the new school year after nearly 7 months of closure. In a video conference, President Hassan Rouhani said the education of 15 million students is as important as the health system. The reopening of schools came as many expressed concern over a possible increase in infections, including medical professionals. Turkish opposition figure Muharrem İnce kicked off a campaign that will build up for his run in the 2023 presidential elections. Launching the 1,000-day national movement, he said it was aimed at reaching the road to Turkey's salvation from the rule of one man, President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. İnce, a member of the Republican People's Party, had run against Erdogan in the 2018 elections, winning 31% of the vote to the president's 52%. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas has informed the General Secretariats of Factions of his advance approval of all decisions that the committees are expected to reach to end the Palestinian division and unite their political authority. This includes the participation of the opposition Hamas and Jihad in the Palestinian Liberation Organization. Such a move is seen as an effort by Abbas to confront the challenges and political and financial pressure faced by his Palestinian Authority. In a televised speech addressed to the leaders of various factions in Ramallah and Beirut, Abbas underlined the need to launch comprehensive national dialogue. Visiting president of the Kurdistan region has discussed with his Turkish counterpart Recep Tayyip Erdogan and Foreign Minister the relations between the two countries, in addition to cooperation in fighting the Kurdistan Workers' Party. In a tweet, he said that the joint struggle against the PKK topped the agenda of the talks with Barzani in Ankara. Discussions also focused on economic, trade, and security ties between Ankara and Erbil. U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for Near Eastern Affairs David Schenker has said that Washington will impose new sanctions on Lebanese political figures. Schenker told several independent lawmakers during his visit to Beirut this week that the U.S. does not differentiate between Hezbollah's political and military wings. Schenker said U.S. President Donald Trump is in agreement with his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron on the situation in Lebanon. The investigations into last month's cataclysmic Beirut port blast are forging ahead and will target prominent officials, as demonstrated by investigating judge Fadi Sawan, listening to the testimony of caretaker Prime Minister Hassan Diab. Lebanese authorities are probing what caused highly explosive material that was neglected and stored unsafely for years to detonate in a mushroom cloud, wrecking swathes of the city and fueling anger at a political class already blamed for the country's economic meltdown. The explosion killed at least 190 people and left 300,000 people homeless and caused $15 billion in direct damage. 5 people are still missing. A medical aid plane provided by the Emirates Red Crescent to the Syrian Arab Red Crescent arrived in Syria to help reduce the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. The medical aid includes basic supplies used to maintain the precautionary and preventive measures aimed at confronting the coronavirus pandemic, amounting to 25 tons of medical materials and equipment, preventing supplies, and laboratory tests related to COVID-19, AGG, AGM, and PCR tests. On the 30th of last August, the medical aid plane provided by the Emirates Red Crescent arrived at Damascus International Airport, including medicines, sterilization, and testing materials. Yemenis from different walks of life in Houthi-run areas have banded together and organized rallies to protest the militia's policies of looting, oppression, and corruption. Demonstrators protested the continued meddling in the decisions of the judiciary and accused Houthis of manipulating rulings issued against citizens to the favor of their Iran-backed agenda. Well-informed sources based in Sana'a confirmed that anti-Houthi protests have been increasing and expanding across several areas. A new report by the United Nations Special Rapporteur on the situation of human rights in Iran, Javed Rahman, revealed grave violations committed by the Iranian authorities against the people. In the report presented to the General Assembly, Rahman expressed shock at the unprecedented use of excessive and lethal force by state security forces during the November 2019 protests, including by the police, the Revolutionary Guard Corps, and its Basij militia. The report said the Iranian government denied responsibility for protesters' death, stating that firearms had been used by rioters and agents of foreign enemies and not state security forces. Environmental activists have blockaded 2 British printing plants, disrupting the distribution of several national newspapers. The group Extinction Rebellion said it targeted Brent Works at Broxbourne, north of London, and Knowsley in northwest England that are owned by Robert Murdoch's News Corp. Dozens of protesters locked themselves to vehicles and bamboo scaffolding to block the road outside the plants. The facilities print Murdoch-owned papers, The Sun and The Times, as well as the Daily Telegraph, the Daily Mail, and the Financial Times. A Tortilla shop has started giving free Wi-Fi and television access for kids in its Mexico City neighborhood whose homes don't have them or whose brothers and sisters are already using the services for remote learning during the pandemic. Mexico's government schools started at distance classes August 24th using televised lessons due to the coronavirus because 94% of Mexican homes have TVs. But there are often many youngsters in a Mexican family and they all need to look up something online or watch classes at the same time. Winter ice in the Bering Sea in the northern Pacific Ocean between Alaska and Russia is at its lowest level in the past 5,500 years. Researchers analyzed vegetation that accumulated on the uninhabited island of St. Matthew over the last 5 millennia. They looked at variations in peat layers of oxygen atoms called isotopes 16 and 18, whose proportions over time correlate with atmospheric and oceanic changes and precipitation.